Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us for an exciting workshop on mastering Reels for Instagram and TikTok. And I have the Reel Queen with us today, Miss Anna Campbell. If you follow her on Instagram, you'll know she is an avid reeler. And the thing I love about Anna is she's just so brave. She just puts herself out there. She doesn't care. And it works. It works. No, I mean, in a good way. It's just, you're just like, that's how you do it. You don't overthink it. You just go for it. And we're all like, that's awesome. So we are going to be talking a bit about Reels today, sharing a bit about it, and we'll be making a Reel today. And the door is locked, so you can't leave until the Reel has been made. So just a quick show of hands, anybody who has ever made a Reel for Instagram or TikTok or any other platform, put them up. Oh, it's pretty good. We have a good Reel cohort. What about, has anybody made multiple Reels, like quite a few? That's a few, that's less. So you had one go and you were like, no. Okay. Does anyone share them regularly, like every week, every couple of weeks? Put it up higher. Awesome. Some more Reel queens in the row. Love it. Great. So we're all a mixture. I think what a lot of people do is we have a go, and then it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and then we're just not sure about doing it again. And also coming up with content, and also running our whole jewelry business as well as our whole lives. It can be a lot. But we're hoping that in the workshop today we're going to share some ideas, and also just be a bit more like Anna and chill out and just post them. And don't worry too much. I want to be more like that as well. So, because they do get seen a lot better. So Instagram in particular kind of changed as a platform. They just didn't tell us that they changed. They changed from an image-based platform to a video-based platform, and we just had to kind of figure that out. And I think it was very frustrating for a lot of people who are used to sharing images. We spent like years building up how to take good pictures for Instagram, and then suddenly everything kind of changed, and the pictures it's still worth posting pictures on Instagram, but not very often. And Reels is the main content. So when we kind of realized that and we switched our strategy to, we just need to share Reels, it did make it a little bit easier. But of course, creating video is a whole nother thing. Creating short videos is a whole nother thing. And then doing it by yourself when you just kind of want to be making jewelry and it can be a bit frustrating is a whole nother thing as well. So hopefully we'll be sharing some tips to help with that today. So why do Reels? I mean, the main reason is because they just do really well with the algorithm. So people see what you're doing. We hear this time and time again, and we see it on our own accounts. People are like, I posted a Reel, and loads of people looked at it, way more than would look at anything else. And so the results kind of speak for themselves. But I think it's important with any social media to go in with an idea of what it is you want to get out of it, and then to start seeing the results. So you want to have fun with it, of course. It doesn't need to just be a chore. But we talk about three main areas that we do with our marketing. So the first is to attract. So a lot of our marketing is we want to draw in new people to us. So people who've never met us before, they see something. Often it's more sort of viral content, something that is spread beyond your current network, people who've never heard of you before, and they say, oh my gosh, look at that gemstone, or oh my gosh, look at that ring, or that's a really interesting process, or I love that person's cat, it's so cute. And then they're like, I'll follow this person, let me have a look at their account. And we've all gone down like the rabbit holes, and then we end up, but it's a good rabbit hole. A jewelry rabbit hole is a good rabbit hole. So that's the first thing that you might want to do with your Reel, is attract new people to you. The next thing that you might want to do with your Reels is to engage your current audience. So even if you've only got like 50 followers, if 50 people bought your jewelry in the next month, that would probably be very successful. So don't forget that the people you already have are the most important people. So we're not always just looking to attract new people. We want to engage the people who have said, I like you, by liking, following, commenting. So an engagement Reel might have a slightly different content. It's less viral, and it's more about asking questions of people, asking for some kind of communication, some kind of feedback, or perhaps having some kind of empathy around something. So you can make them funny, you can make them educational, you can make them lighthearted, you can make them more serious. But that's the second thing that we might choose to do with our Reels, is try and have some engagement. And then the third thing, very important, is converting, aka getting them to buy our jewellery. So we may have reels that are specifically about sales. So whilst we wouldn't want every reel to be about selling, you might have, I don't know, a flash offer, or you're doing some kind of event, or you're at a fair or a trade show, or you've got a new collection and you just want to show your jewellery and say, this is what I make, this is where you buy it, go do that. So they're the kind of three main things that I think we're looking to do with our reels, and it can help to choose before you post what you're trying to do to give you a little bit more direction. And we have some tips, don't we, to share about reels in general. So Anna is gonna share some of those with us. How do we make, we've decided what we're doing, we've decided which area we're gonna go in, we're gonna reel. How do we make a good reel?
I think that one of the key things to think about and to remember is that it really doesn't have to be some kind of amazing cinematography, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. The whole idea of the Instagram and TikTok reels are around things that you can make with your smartphone. You know, you're not expected to have HD quality. Sometimes it's too much. get the eye contouring, so what we want is to kind of take away that idea of having to be such a big thing. Short clips are actually best, and in fact even something like 7 or 8 seconds is good for a reel. And if you do look on Instagram or TikTok a lot, you'll know, you know, we have a bit of a short attention span for them. So we're scrolling through, we're looking through, and you know, we want to kind of capture something just as it happens. So we've got my phone out, just do that, just look around, and you know, there it is. There's the content. So sometimes it's about actually not thinking like it's some big deal. It's kind of like, let's just capture this moment, which you're going to do any minute. Hello.
I love it. We're already on it. Already on it.
It's all good. So short clips are good. And actually what they've found, the other thing that I love about it, actually doing them in Instagram, I have TikTok as well, but I prefer Instagram personally, is that all of the editing is within the app. So you can, but I don't necessarily have to take it out, put it into some other program, try and cut it, try and work out how to add music. What they're doing really is to try and make it as simple as possible to do, because they want people to be using this. And some people are going like, really? It's not that easy. But I know, you know, it can take a bit of practice. But also I do think if you've tried it a few months ago and trying again now, they do update the tech and they do update some of the things to try and make it as user-friendly as possible, which is another thing we'll be doing today and giving it a go, because we can come and give you a little hand with things. But short clips within the clips, so like, you know, short 1-2 second things just keeps our interest, keeps, you know, oh, what's this? What's happening? What's going on? Rather than one long 8-second clip. I know 8 seconds is not long, but actually breaking it down into maybe like 3 separate clips or something like that just helps kind of keep it moving a little bit, keep it engaged. You can also add text to your reels, and I personally do that within the Instagram app. I know you can make it look lovely and beautiful in other programs. I just don't. I just can't be bothered with that. It's fine. I'm happy with what you have in Instagram. But when you use it and you kind of move the text around, and again, I'm happy to come around and show people with this as well. Some guidelines kind of come up on the screen. There's one about a third from the top and at the bottom. And what you want to do is kind of keep your text inside your 2 guidelines. So if it's like this, there's like a line here and a line here, and we want to keep the text within that section, because when it shows on Instagram, on the feed on Instagram, it's not quite square anymore, but it's still the smaller version. You don't get the whole of the frame. So it's good to have your text within those guidelines. So it's useful to do. Another good tip, one thing I love doing is using trending audio. So what trending audio means is a song. Sometimes it's actually just somebody speaking. It can be lots of different things. But to identify whether an audio is trending, it's got an arrow next to it. And again, I'm happy to come around and just show you where it is. What that means is that this is a popular piece of music or dialogue or whatever it is. And therefore, it's being shown to more people. So when you can use a trending audio, it tends to mean that my reels get shown to more people because the algorithm is kind of set up to do that. I personally, if you want to know how I do this, I was talking to family about this. We were talking about this last night, actually. One of the things I realised is I loved doing dancing and performance and things when I was a kid. Did anyone else like that? Everyone's like, no.
Just us two. That's why we're up here.
This is why we're here. This is why we're here. But I was like, that was just like training for Instagram Reels, basically. Just doing silly little things. And, you know, it's about, I think, really kind of playing to your strengths. If you like to be a bit silly and do weird things like I do, not that I started with Instagram Reels that way. If you if you don't try, I wouldn't scroll down to all right at the beginning. But you know, we have to start. We have to do something, and then we get better. It's the same with all of the things that we do. Have you ever heard of the first pancake method? The first pancake, never any good. Never any good. But you've got to make it before you make the second pancake. So sometimes we just have to make the first pancake. We just got to go for it. We've got to do it. And that's the only way we can learn. If we're like, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. We'll never figure it out. So let's make the first pancake, I think, is a key thing.
We're up for it.
One just tip that I've got on the handout there for you is once you've edited your audio and your video and you've got some video there and it's done, you can download it. So there's like an arrow that you press on and it just saves that video to your phone. You will not know, actually maybe do this now. Me just looking slightly confused has been used many occasions, same video, different audio, a couple of months later, just anything like that. Jess, could you show us the pointing Instagram?
Oh, the
please?
Pointing. Oh, dear.
You can do it. Go on.
I can do it.
Go
yeah, so if you've seen any of our videos,
you will have seen Jess pointing.
My cop-out is pointing. And it's quite funny because there's people who work for us in the social media. And I'm like, oh, you've got some pointing videos of me. And it's basically just me going like this. Try and look happy. That's what I learned. If you just do it like it's kind of grumpy, it looks really, really weird. So you just have to smile as you do it. And remember that...
nod as well when you do it.
Yeah, I nod like, oh yeah, this is a good point. No idea what it's going to be just yet. Whatever this is, it's good. Yeah, and the last one has to be kind of like 100%. But also you kind of have to keep it all here. You can't be like, because there's only a small... Anyway, have a go. It's fun. You feel very weird, but it works, and it's good if you don't like doing like loads of really dynamic things like dancing. I mean, I love dancing, but I don't want to dance about my business. Sometimes it just feels it doesn't work for me. Some people it works for, and if it works for you, that's awesome. And who knows, maybe it will change one day. But that's where I'm at today. So the pointing is good. Or what I sometimes do is have cards that I've written on and kind of flip them over. That can be quite good. But obviously you're jewelers, so you've got so much good content to share anyway. It's not like you're just, sharing text-based stuff. You've got so much visual stuff to share. And like Anna says, 8 seconds is ideal. So you can find 8 seconds. And the weird thing is, sometimes you'll spend so long coming up with a video that you think, this is going to be great. People are going to love this. It's got a great moment. I've done the whole story. And it doesn't really... do very well. And then you'll just film your cat for 3 seconds and it blows up the internet. So I think the main thing when you're doing Reels is don't worry about who's watching it and don't worry about how many views you're going to get. Don't do it for that, because you will get anxiety. You'll get refresh anxiety. How many people have looked? Has anyone hearted it? And no one wants to spend their life there. So just do it for yourself. Do it for your business. Do it to experiment. Do it to start a conversation and have a little bit of fun with it. It doesn't matter if no one looks at it. The other thing with Reels is sometimes people can come back to it later. So it's a little bit different to Instagram posts, where kind of within 24 hours you've had your way with it, and it's kind of done what it does. Reels, sometimes a couple of days later, they kind of spike and you're like, oh, where did that come from? It's also really unpredictable. So do not attach your self-worth in any way to how many people look at your reels, or even your worth of that reel, because it's often not to just do with the content, but it can be to do with like a million things to do with the algorithm that are out of your control. So don't do it to get the views, but just do it to share, and do it regularly. So that way, if one doesn't work or a couple don't work, it's like, okay, well, this is just something that I do. Same like blogging. If you were blogging every week, I know it's not like the 90s, but we still blog. It's still a thing. We just don't call it blogging anymore. We call it reading on the internet. But it used to be called blogging. And not everyone would do really well, but occasionally one would do really well. So with content, it's just about consistency instead of putting pressure on yourself to do really well with any particular one. Do we have any other tips before we go forth?
There's a couple of other things.
Okay, go for it.
One thing that we found, and it does change because we found this, it changes. At the moment, we share 2 or 3 reels a week.
Yeah.
Around that. We wouldn't do more than that. So, you don't actually want necessarily all of your content to be reels, and you don't have to post every single day on Instagram. That's not what it's about. But just, it would be great if you could have something in mind to do it once a week or twice a week. That would be a really optimal amount for now. They change, but for now. The other thing is to, at the end, and it's the same really with any post that you do on social media, but have a call to action. What do you want them to do? And with Reels, you kind of want your call to action in that first sentence, because a lot of times people just don't read the caption anyway. I mean, write one, but you don't have to really kind of worry too much about crafting it, because most people won't read it. Some people will. So you might say, like, if this has happened to you, and that you're just letting them know, or new product in the bio, link in the bio, and that kind of thing. So tell them what you want them to do. Give them some instructions, because that's helpful. But I think you don't have to. I guess it's kind of coming on to the next step of the content ideas. You don't have to be in Reels yourself. Okay, the one that's had the most views for just on my own account is me loading up the kiln with silver clay rings. So, all right.
Simple.
Yeah, it was, and it just for some reason it must have just hit something at that right moment, and it went really, really big. And I think it's another thing as well is, if something doesn't seem to go that well, don't delete it. Leave it on there, because I've had some that weeks later I look at it and went, what? What happened there? Maybe it was an audio that then trended again, and it got shown again to people. You never know what could happen. You could be famous in the future. And I think another good thing to do is, if you are deciding to post a couple of times a week or even a couple of times a month for yourself, is to build a content strategy, so that you're not just sort of faced with, I need to post a reel. But what we will do is, Mondays is a reel about the podcast, and Tuesdays is a tip, and Wednesdays is 10 jewelers. And so we have almost like a magazine. You structure what you're going to do when. Now, of course, we've got a team, so you don't need to post every day. But even if you say, like, do a month, and you might say, okay, well, I'm going to post on Monday and Friday every week for a month. So on the first week, I'm going to show my workshop. Then I'm going to show my jewelry. Then the next week, I'm going to do a tip. And then the next week, I'm going to share something from my customer. And then you just repeat that again, but not the same reels, but the same kind of structure. That way okay, I need to make 4 reels every 2 weeks, and they need to be one in the workshop, one of close-up of my jewelry, one of my customer.
so on and so forth. That way you have a lot more structure to it. So when you sit down to make them, and we do recommend where you can batch creating, so you might sit down for a day and say, this is my reel day. I'm making reels today. Have lots of different cardigans that you can take off and put on, so it looks like different days. And that way it's, because I think it can feel pressurized to just do it sometimes in the moment. Sometimes you can do it in the moment, and there's a social media guy, and he talks about everything is content, and he also talks about documenting instead of creating. So instead of thinking I need to create something, document what you've done that day. Use it as a diary. I mean, I quite like looking at reels where people are just doing it almost for themselves, to remind themselves what they did, like remind yourself of how you made a piece, and that way it adds value for yourself as well, and you start to feel a bit more of a connection with the video. So having a bit more structure to your content can help you to be able to create it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should we get people
yes.
to...
Yes, well, we've got a list of content ideas of things that we won't read it out because it's there, but we wanted to try and give lots of different ideas and options and things that you could use your content around. And as we said, I think it is about, as with everything with business, it's about being who you are. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're a bit zany, a bit like me, then you do zany. But if you're not, you just do what works for you. And I think that's what people get into. You know, they like that it's part of your personality. So if you don't show yourself necessarily, that's fine. There's lots of other ways of creating content.
Absolutely. So what we want you to do is get with somebody next to you, find a partner or a three, and create a reel together now. So you don't have to post it, although, there's nothing wrong with posting it, but we want you to create it. You can do it on one of your phones, or you can do it on both. So you can get up, walk around, move around, and like you said, there's lots of ideas, but it can be you. It can be you, like it can be their jewelry, it can be your jewelry. You could do like a real close-up of like coming up on a flower wall and just like looking at that. It's entirely up to you. It could be a day in the life. You can film the cupcakes. You can eat a cupcake.
Flick through the book,
Yeah, you can film the film crew back. But we want you to like think small and think big and think like together and think apart. Like just play.
I'm up for dance routines if anyone needs.
Okay, choreographer.
I'm in.
And if you need help with pointing, I'm here. So we're going to give you about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to come round and help out. There's also some others on the team. Like I said, the door's locked, so you can't leave until you've done it. But have a go. Have a go.
Try.
Okay, how did you find it? Right. How was it? Some thumbs up and some people are like, I'm not saying anything. We're going to do a little Q&A now, so if you have any questions, obviously you can keep posting if I know what it's like when you're in the zone, you're like, I just need to get the hashtags in. That's fine. But if you have any questions or anything that came up, we have a mic and a person with the mic. So, yeah.
Hang on. Let's... Can't say anything without a microphone, sorry.
I've heard different things about hashtags online when I've been researching. Some people say don't do them. Some people say do 3. Some people say do 30. And it doesn't seem to be, sort of, is it guessing, or do you have anything you could advise on hashtags? Interesting question.
It's a very good question. I've been asked it by a few people, so thank you for asking that question. It's not such a big deal as you might worry and think about. Now Instagram kind of looks at what your caption says. So it's good to get your keywords in the caption. So maybe it's silver jewelry or gemstone or whatever it might be in the caption. You don't necessarily have to use 30 hashtags. It was the advice in the past to do that, use as many as possible. And actually they're rolling out a thing now where you kind of you have 3 tags. I don't know if you've seen this yet. 3 tags instead of what your content is about, and they're using that. So it does change. I think it's more around the caption, just writing something that kind of summarises what's going on in the reel, and it'll pick it up from there. So I don't think we need to be really precious about it. Although I think today, what are we using? JA book launch.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hashtag JA book launch. Just because then we can find you and we can follow you and things like that. So it's helpful for those kinds of things where it's events and things like that. And we love it if you tag Jordan's Academy, because then again we see it. But I don't think we don't have to be as precious about it as we were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is less now. Generally speaking, people will do 3 to 5 rather than spend the time doing the 30, because it used to categorize it. Like the 30 used to be really important because it's all these opportunities for people to see you. But the platform's changed and it's moved on. So it's not so much of a requirement anymore, like Anna said. But thank you for the question. I think there's another question. No. It was maybe a question. No, it's not. There we go. Question here.
Hi. Do you have any particular apps that you would say edited? Because we found that whatever we were making was too long, and Natasha was very smart on using an app, Splice, which she seems to have created something possible. And I wondered if you got any thoughts on apps that help the whole process.
Yeah, I personally have to say that I tend to edit it directly in Instagram. And in fact, when it was all about, you have to then put it into another program and do it and then take it out of that program and put it somewhere else, it was just like, I'm not doing that. So I personally prefer just to do it directly in Instagram, because they have made it, and I'm happy to come around and help people in the break as well later if you need help, with the sliders and things like that. They've made it, a bit more intuitive. I think sometimes you need someone starting you off. But yeah, that's what I do. I don't know if you've used any others.
No, I also use it in the app now. I think when it first started, it was very glitchy. So lots of people use different programs. And there are lots. Like if you spend a lot of time on Instagram, there'll be loads of people marketing different apps. And I say just try them, especially if you're someone who likes to experiment with different things. But I'm the same, it has to be simple. So I just do it in Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
question. It takes
question.
a bit of practice, but as you mentioned, but yeah. My preference.
There's one over here.
I've never used TikTok before, but if you did want to post to both, would you make it an Instagram and then post to TikTok, or the other way?
I don't think it matters too much. Well, I personally do it in Instagram, and then I do the thing which I said of downloading the video before I post it, and then you can just take that video and just post it in TikTok. Just it won't have the audio on it. You'd have to TikTok normally has exactly the same audio as you just search for the audio on TikTok. If you download it out of TikTok, I think it's the same. Sometimes these things change, but it tends to have a TikTok watermark on it, and Instagram don't like it, so you're not going to get shown. So it's better to just. I tend to do it in Instagram because the Instagram they don't put a watermark on it, so you can download it out. When you posted it though, if you can still save it once you've posted it, you can go and have a look and see, you'll see. But then you do get a kind of an Instagram watermark, which is why it's good. Once you've decided on it and you're happy and this is great, this is what I want to post, it's always good to download it for lots of reasons. Like you could use it again, but also sometimes you post it and it's like, what happened? Yeah. It's gone. Yeah. So at least if you've downloaded a copy, you can kind of do it again. So it's a little bit of an insurance as well. It's just saving it. So I haven't had that happen for a while, but it does sometimes.
Yeah, but it's a good question because it's good to use the content everywhere if you spend that time making it. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it works having different audios on it as well, and even like doing captions in TikTok that are slightly different to the one on Instagram. But definitely the base video, like Anna said, just make sure you remember to save it before you post, because if you save it after you post, you've got the watermark. Neither of them like each other's watermarks. So yeah, that's kind of a good way to do it.
Okay, because you said about the music. The trending, if I put Rihanna on my Instagram, I will kill myself. Do I have to do it? I'm sorry if someone that likes Rihanna. Because I'm more like old-fashioned music, rock, metal, and that's not like kind of my brand.
Yeah.
So what happened if I use it? 'Cause it's nothing to do with me. Like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the key with the trending audio is that this is just saying, this is what people are interested, this is what's kind of getting a bit of buzz right now. But with the music, and I think this was another game changer that Instagram did, was the ability for us to use anybody's music, because before that it was all copyright stuff and we couldn't do it, and they've dealt with all of the copyright stuff. But you can just search for the song that you like, and a lot of them, we talked a little bit about it, a lot of them are on there, and you can just use that. You don't have to use trending audio if it's not your style, if it's not your brand. Please don't try and kind of shoehorn it in because you think you know, oh, it's trending, so I better use it. I'll often spend way too much time, but looking through, getting ideas. I mean, that's kind of how I do it myself. Is I don't really come up with anything original. Honestly, I don't. I kind of look through and I go, oh, that's a really interesting idea that this house realtor in America has used. How can I put my own spin on it? How can I do my own way? I did speak to somebody here who was saying, oh, it gets really boring when like you scroll through and absolutely everyone's doing the same thing. So sometimes you have to try and catch it before it gets really big, you know. But you know, you can do that, and you can just, I think it's much better for you to be true to your brand and what will work best for you than it is to kind of try and shoehorn something in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, trust that your creative process and everything that you're doing is enough. You don't have to, like, there's all these tips and they do all help, but you don't need to do them all. They're just ideas. The most important thing is that it works for you and your business as a whole. And you never know, you might make it trending because it might just be so good that everyone else follows. Because a trend, someone has to start
Someone
it.
starts a trend,
yeah.
always.
So it's a good point. Awesome. Great.
Any others?
Can you just tell us more about tags, please?
Yeah, I think it's a new thing that's come up recently. So when I go to post, and again, I can come around and show people, but when I go to post something, it says, what is this content? It kind of automatically prompts it. And I'm not sure if it's on every account yet, honestly. But it automatically prompts it. And then it just, there's like a list that's like cars and I don't know, all these lists, and you just scroll down and you just tap. And it allows you up to 3. So there's things like small business and creatives and things like that. Those would be the ones I would use.
Yeah, that's going to be helpful, I think. And that's the other thing is, don't feel disheartened if on your app you don't have all the features. We all have different things. It's totally random half the time. It's like half the people are like, I don't have music on my app, or I don't have that. And it's really frustrating. But I think, you know, just keep refreshing it regularly so you're getting the latest download. And, you know, work with what you have. And it's always going to be enough. That's the thing. Like, we don't have to get this perfect. And hopefully what you've seen from the workshop today is just in a few, 15 minutes, you can come up with something. And some of them look awesome. I've been coming around and having a look. And also I think what's quite nice is it's easier to do with someone else. So if you have someone, a buddy, a friend or whatever, because they're quite playful, to sit there and be kind of playful to a phone by yourself can be quite challenging, especially if it's like
not for me.
I'm
fine with that.
Yes, I know. Anna's just got it. But for those of us that don't, it can help to put aside time to create this content so that you're not having to do it all of the time. Get your friends round or make a friend today and meet up and network with other jewelers, because then you can help each other out. Let's spend a day and make 5 reels for you and 5 reels for me, and then you're sort of sorted for a little while. So I think that can make it a lot easier. Yeah. Wonderful. Alrighty, well thank you guys so much for joining the TikTok and Reel workshop. We can't wait to see your reels if you post them. We'd love to encourage you. If you do post them, make sure you tag us at Jewelers Academy so we can share them with everyone, obviously. And if you put them in your stories, if you share them in your stories, if you don't know how to do it, come and ask me or Anna after the session. Then we see it even more easy. It's easier for us to share. So we would love to see them. Yeah. After you post it, there's a little kind of paper aeroplane arrow, and it says share to your stories.
Yeah, do that.
Yes, yeah. And tag us.
And tag us. Put at Jewelers Academy as well. I'll come and help you.
But we'll see you guys in the next workshop, and thank you so much.